One of the biggest facts about the Israeli-Palestine conflict is mostly about two groups of people who are claiming the same land. And for the past few days, there is lot of exchange of missiles between Israeli and Hamas. So if you're listening or reading the news, then you will know that Israeli police has entered and arrested protester from the third holiest mosque in Islam. And this has triggered many riots in Israel. So what is actually going on in Israel? Who started these riots in the midst of pandemic? And what is the truth behind these rocket attacks? So to find out, watch this video on SIACHENX file, the truth behind the Jerusalem riots in Israel. This is Israel and this is Palestine, and this is the city of Jerusalem. In this city of Jerusalem in the east, this locality is known as the locality of Sheikh Jarrah, and this video will only focus on the incident of Sheikh Jarrah and not the entire history of Israel-Palestine conflict. So this locality in the early 19th century was known as the locality of Shimon since the Ottoman Empire, and it has been a Jew colony in Jerusalem. And later, when the British took control over the Jerusalem under Sykes Picot Line Agreement in 1919, and the Arabs who were living in this area wanted their own nation, so they started attacking the Israeli localities in Jerusalem. And British, who were unable to provide protection to the non-Muslims in Jerusalem, they ordered the non-Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, to evacuate most of the Jewish locality out of Shimon. Later, in 1946, during the War of Independence of Israel, Jordan was able to capture the entire west bank of the Jordan River and with it the city of Jerusalem. And all the Jews residents were evicted by the Jordanian army, and the locality of Shimon got renamed as the locality of Sheikh Jarrah, and later Palestinians took control over these houses in Sheikh Jarrah. After many years, in Six-Day War of 1967, Israel recaptured the city of Jerusalem from Jordan, and the original residents of now Sheikh Jarrah came back to their houses to reoccupy, but the houses were already reoccupied by the Palestinians. So the Jews of Sheikh Jarrah went to the court under the property dispute to claim their houses back, as they had the original documents of ownership, because these houses and lands were purchased by the Jews under the Ottoman rule in 1875. And after many years of litigation and judicial review, the Israeli court said these people are already settled in the locality of Sheikh Jarrah, and hence they cannot be evicted from those houses. But the court also recognizes that these houses also belongs to the Jews, so the Supreme Court of Israel offered that they will provide the illegal resident of Sheikh Jarrah as protected tenant status, which means that the Palestinians cannot be evicted from the houses in Sheikh Jarrah, but in exchange they have to pay a small rent to the actual owner. But in contrary, the illegal occupants of Sheikh Jarrah said a big no to the Supreme Court of Israel's verdict, and they will not evict the houses. Seeing the violation of this order, the Supreme Court of Israel ordered the Israeli police to start the eviction process of illegal settlers in the Sheikh Jarrah. And this was the major reason for the spark of all the riots in Jerusalem. But the strange part is that these court orders are old. So why these riots broke out now, not before? And there are three answers to this question as per the SIACHENX assessment. The first one is of course the eviction of Palestinians from Sheikh Jarrah, and second one is the election of the Democrat presidency of Joe Biden. As Biden, who has indicated that he will not take any strict action against the Palestinians unlike the former President Trump, that's why you will observe that there were no such retaliation by Palestinians during Trump's presidency. And the Democrat Party of United States of America, who is very soft on Palestinian issue and has a very anti-Jew agenda, which are being amplified by politicians such as Ilhan Omar and AOC. The third and the main reason is that a lot of the riots that are happening as we speak are not happening in the West Bank. They are happening in the proper Israeli territory, especially where Israeli Arab lives. And all these riots are being organized and engineered under the direction of international organizations and big think tanks. These riots are happening all around in Israel, from north in Haifa to south in Lod, near Jerusalem airport and the coastal city of Ashkelon. The entire Israel is under riots by Israeli Arabs and Israeli Jews. There is a total meltdown of law and order in Israel. And this is where Hamas from Gaza started attacking the Israeli cities with barrages of more than 1,000 rockets in civilian cities of Israel. So why global think tanks and organizations are secretly trying to destabilize Israel? The answer is the Abraham Accord. The Abraham Accord, which has been signed in early 2020, acts as a peace negotiation between the Middle East and Israel. As Middle East Asia was always a conflict economy, and the international organization and especially arms lobby, all of them have benefited from this conflict in the Middle East. So this arms lobby and organization never wanted to solve the problem of Palestine, but wanted to make this problem everlasting so that they can continue to keep on benefiting in future also. But the former United States President Donald Trump, with his Abraham Accord, solved the problem of Palestine. And in the consequence of this accord, the Islamic countries of the Middle East started to normalize their relation with the state of Israel. So these think tanks were obligated to prove Donald Trump's accord is a failure. Otherwise, these pro-Palestinian think tanks will be out of business in Washington. Hence, this is the major reason behind the riots in Israel from north in Haifa to Lod in central Israel to Ashkelon in south. So this brings us to this question: what is the future of this conflict in Israel? Let us talk about this future in parts. First, the future of West Bank. West Bank is already in the occupation zone under the Israel as per Oslo Accord of 1990, and it will continue to remain under Israeli occupation as per Zone A, Zone B and Zone C. Now let us talk about Israel. Israel has already lost many civilians in this rocket attack by Hamas, and Israeli soldiers were also lost while defusing the explosive planted by Hamas. So Israel is going to retaliate via airstrikes. Last is the future of Gaza. Gaza, which is being ruled by Hamas, a terrorist organization. Hence, we can expect only random rocket attacks on Israeli civilians. But this time Hamas has changed its strategy. Instead of firing one single salvo of rocket from different locations, they have attacked Israel in a saturated attacks of rocket strikes from one location only, which has literally overpowered the Israeli Iron Dome protection system. And as per SIACHENX assessment, Israel will invade and occupy Gaza for a short period of time. Because for Hamas, firing one single unguided rocket cost only $300, while for the Israeli Defense Forces to destroy the incoming rocket of $300, it will require the Israel a guided missile which cost about $80,000. So it is matter of time that one of them is going to be out of rockets and missile. The question is, who is going to run out first, Israel or Hamas? And the attacks on Israel was never a spontaneous attack by Hamas. It has been planned for a long period of time. Why SIACHENX is saying so? Remember the Beirut blast? The Beirut blast that happened on 4th August 2020.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Hezbollah and Hamas, who all operate from Lebanon, imports this explosive material via ships from Iran and assemble these explosive materials into rockets and supply these rockets to Gaza. This is how Hamas has accumulated so many rockets to fire at Israel, and this is why Hamas has planned this attack for a long period of time. Thank you for watching this video. This is SIACHENX Files.